We'll jump into the new record, the latest record. Were you kind of surprised with folks' reception to going back to the synth sound, how that was received?
I don't actually read my press, so I don't know how it was received.
It was received really well, and people were talking, I think they, overused that term, the return to form, as far as your sound goes. I mean, you did that on purpose. I mean, you went back to that sound. Was there any hesitation to kind of go back to the electronic sound after doing a bit of the acoustic stuff in between?
We did a no synth trilogy, but the first album, High, was sort of soft rock, and then the second one, Distortion, was it sounded like vacuum cleaners over a girl group, and the third one was a sort of folk record. And now we've done Love at the Bottom of the Sea, which is a triumphant return to synthesizers, but we're using the synthesizers in a very different way, more as chaotic sounds, like many ducks being tortured, or the wind in the trees.
So, and that might...
The synthesizers that you hear in today's dance-oriented top 40, which I hear every night in the gay bars as I try desperately to write a song, is computer-based software synthesizers, and it all sounds essentially like a Casio tone.
You brought something up there, and it reminded me. I did recently, I guess a few weeks ago, watch the documentary that had just came out about you and the band.
Oh, that's why you thought you'd done your homework.
Not the only reason. I did a lot of reading.
The documentary doesn't mention 9/10 of my professional life. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I didn't even mean to actually see the entire thing. It was quite by accident, and really enjoyed it. In one part in there, you were talking about writing the songs in the gay clubs, which I think is one of those really great behind-the-curtains things to see of the process, and especially something surprising, because I don't think one would expect that as seeing how the music comes out. But
well, I can't really write in clubs, just bars. Clubs are too loud for me.
Right. With the documentary the way it was, was there any hesitation to let people in to your life like that? I mean, because it is opening yourself up, at least personally, to quite a bit of revealing, anyway, to get back there. Was there any hesitation to let the cameras around that often?
I actually didn't realize that we were making a documentary for quite a while. I definitely would have dressed better and worn some makeup and make Claudia take off her New Jersey is for Lovers T-shirt.
So when it all did come down to it, that you knew it was being released, though, and that it was going to be made, I mean, how were you feeling about that at the time?
Filled with dread.
Yeah, and how do you feel now that it's out?
Filled with regret.
That is, I mean, that's got to be rough, though, to let people in on the personal stuff, because for the most part, you've been a very private person.
Well, all the personal stuff that you see in the movie is gross misrepresentation anyway, so I don't have any problem with that. I just feel like we've destroyed our mysteriousness by appearing without any image mongering.
Yeah,
we try to image monger a little bit, but we failed in the documentary.
Yeah. I've actually been talking about that with some friends a lot lately, the image of how you have to keep the mystery.
A little bit.
Yeah. And that's actually, I think, one of my opinions why rock and roll has survived the way it has, or popular music, I should say, actually. But because, I mean, you have certain genres of music that, they come and go throughout the decades and centuries and years. Yet here we are in, the 60th or 70th year of this kind of popular music, and still it's stuck around. But it seems like it's because of the mystery, the way the bands have done it in the past. And you only have a few of them who do it this day.
I think actually the history of pop music as opposed to rock music is a lot older than 70 years. We have not come very far since the coon song that they used to do in the theater in the 1800s. And I think people 150 years ago would probably recognize what we now think of as pop music as weird, but definitely similar to what they were listening to at the time.
Do you think it's still going to survive? I mean, I know it's a hard thing to project, but with the way popular music's
I
going...
don't see how it would die.
Yeah.
What would kill it?
I don't know. I mean...
Taste? Suddenly everyone got taste? I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but I look back and, I think there are. I mean, classical music exists and, and that style of music's been around for centuries, but it doesn't exist as the popular format anymore.
I don't think it did. It was always patronized.
Even back then?
Yes.
I guess I just saw it as one of the only types of music at the time, thinking of 17th and 18th century styles.
Well, it's true that early opera was a much more popular medium in Italy when it was invented than it is in North Carolina right now. But it still wouldn't have been considered a popular medium.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like
as opposed to a high art medium.
Right.
It was maybe a particularly low form of the high art medium.
I guess I just look at it as, we've got this formula that you hear in most songs, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. We've been doing for what seems like forever. And I wonder how much longer that can go before. But, of course, a new generation's born, every single, decade or whatever, and I guess it's new to them. But how much longer can we do that?
I don't think any house music song has ever had that formula, and I think that formula is really in one's imagination. It hardly ever actually happens. A lot of music nowadays just doesn't have sections at all. It just goes, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. That's the song.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly good. It's not very lyrically interesting, but, everyone can dance along.
Yeah.
Which is most of the point.
I think you've just written your next hit right there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something important to you guys, to Magnetic Fields at this point, of writing something that could become a hit? I mean, Andrew and Drag is arguably, I guess, one of the catchier songs, radio-friendly songs that's come out in a little while. Is that on your radar at all, to have a hit at this point in your career?
Well, it wouldn't occur to me to try, but I think that payola is most of what makes a song a hit.
Even today?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt there's a lot of money going around. But I mean, I listen to it, specifically with that.
It's not really money, it's mostly cocaine.
That sounds like decades past. I'm in radio, but I've never actually seen cocaine. I've never seen it once. Of course, it might not happening on my level. I'm in public radio, so pot brownies, I guess. But
yeah, we always give the journalists pot brownies. You didn't get yours?
I didn't get mine.
Well, Claudia bakes them.
Oh, I'll be sure to note that next show I come to.
Shirley grows the pot, and Claudia bakes the brownies.
When you're writing this record, though, and how you have to, or you choose to do your music on stage, which is more stripped down than the synth and everything, was that very hard to transition the songs to make them work in that way? And I apologize, I haven't seen this tour yet, so I don't know how they worked personally.
Well, we don't use synthesizers on stage.
Right.
We don't want to be electrocuted, so we just ignore the way the record sounded, as we always do.
So is it like rewriting the song entirely?
It's redoing the arrangement, yeah.
Do you have a preference either way on how it sounds? I mean, do you prefer it, the way the album sounds? I guess that's the vision.
Well, of course. I would never go to a Magnetic Fields show.
Why is that?
I don't like going to concerts in the first place. I have a hearing disorder,
right.
And everything is too loud for me. I never go to an amplified concert. And I go to musical theater, but I complain about the amplification a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, that aside, I mean, if it weren't for a hearing problem, I know that's, once again, a hard thing to judge and everything, but if it weren't for a hearing problem, what would you have against a Magnetic Fields show?
Distaste.
So, I mean, pretty much sticking with the album.
I like recorded music.
I do love this record, and I've loved so many of your records in the past. I mean, you guys are a very important band to a lot of people, and it's great to see you striving and continuing and to be creative. So thank you very much for that. And taking
don't spoil it by seeing us live. We're much better on record.
I do love you on record. One day, though, I will. I'll have to see it live. I just it's gonna have to happen. With or without your blessing?
You could see it live, and then we'll roofie you, so you won't remember it.
I can handle that. That's fine.
Okay, we'll put it in your roofie brownie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Stephen, so much.
We have more than one kind of brownie in the swag bag. But talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.